In today's discussion, we're going to continue what we had last time. So, we will have more on evaluation of limits of functions algebraically. That is, we're going to apply the theorems that I discussed with you and some other principles or theorems that will be needed in the discussion. Now, to recall, if a function has no problem at a certain point, meaning there is an immediate value to the left, immediate value to the right of that x equals a. So the function value is defined to the immediate left and immediate right. So informally, we can just apply substitution rule. The substitution rule is actually applicable to polynomial and rational function as long as a is in the domain of that rational function. So if f is a polynomial or a rational function and a is in the domain of f, then the limit of f of x as x approaches a is simply the value of the function at a. The direct substitution rule in fact holds for any function f defined on an interval x sub 1, x sub 2, this open interval, for which the point a, f of a, where a is in that interval, is connected to its immediate left and right points as shown in the figure. So like here, so this is our a, and we have an interval from x equals 1 to x equals 2, x sub 1 to x sub 2, and a is contained there. And you notice that there is an immediate value to the left and to the right, and the function is defined in that immediate value to the left and also to the immediate value to the right. So formally, or it is precisely explained in the section on continuity. So graphically, there is always a connection from x equals a to at least a value to the left and to the right. So it is connected, no gap. Okay? So you can apply direct substitution rule. Another theorem that is important, we have what we call limit of a composite function. Useful if you have, for instance, a radical or you have a transcendental function. If f and g are functions such that the limit of g of x as x approaches a is equal to b, and the limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to f of b, then the limit of f of g of x as x approaches a is equal to f of the limit of g of x, and that is equal to f of b. So for x, so as x approaches a, okay? So, and then another principle that you have to remember or recall in evaluating limits, we have the following: existence of, we call this existence of limit, no? Existence of a limit. So another theorem, existence of a limit. What is this theorem all about? Let's say limit of f of x as x approaches a exists n is equal to L, this implies that L is implied by, meaning if and only if. So limit of f of x exists and is equal to L if and only if the limit as x approaches a of f of x, that is from the right, and limit of f of x as x approaches a from the left, both exist and are equal to L also. So again, the limit of f of x as x approaches a, let's say it exists and is equal to L. This is true if and only if the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the right and the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the left also exist, both of them, and are equal also to L. Okay? So in other words, for the limit of f of x as x approaches a to exist, both limit from the left and limit from the right must exist and are equal to L. Another theorem, this is very useful if you have a function that has a problem at x equals a, especially those functions having limit at the denominator tends to 0. So if the limit of the denominator tends to 0, this theorem is very useful. Actually, it's not a theorem, by the way, sorry. It's a definition. It's a definition. It's a definition of indeterminate form. Okay? So, I think I don't need to write this thing. Just indeterminate form. Indeterminate and this indeterminate form is just one form, and there are still others. Indeterminate form 0 over 0. It's not a value, it is just a form encountered when you try to evaluate a limit. The quotient f of x over g of x has the indeterminate form zero over 0 at x equals a if the limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to 0 and the limit of g of x as x approaches a is also 0, and also we say that the limit as x approaches a of f of x over g of x takes the indeterminate form zero over zero at a. Okay? So again, the quotient f of x over g of x has an indeterminate form 0 over 0 at a if the limit of the numerator and the limit of the denominator are both equal to 0. And we also say that the limit f of x over g of x as x approaches a takes the indeterminate form 0 over 0 at a. So again, this is just one case of indeterminate form. Actually, we have infinity over infinity. We have 0 to the 0, 1 to the infinity, plus or minus. So those are other possible indeterminate forms, infinity minus infinity. But for the meantime, so this is what we are going to have. Okay? And then, the last that is very important when dealing with basic limits with problems. So another theorem. So this theorem states that if you have a that is a real number, so let a be a real number, and actually we had this already last time, and we're just recalling these important principles that we need when evaluating limits algebraically. So again, let a be a real number and let f of x equals g of x. For all x, they are equal as long as x is not equal to a. For all x not equal to a. So, in an open interval, containing a. If the limit of g of x as x approaches a exists, meaning it's a real number, then the limit of f of x as x approaches a also exists, and limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to limit of g of x as x approaches a. Okay? So this theorem is very useful in handling limits with no obvious limit, whose function has no obvious limit as x approaches a. So what we do, we find another function for which it is equal to g of x as long as for x not equal to a. They are equal in all values except, for instance, at x equals a. Okay? But with obvious limits. So we try to find such function. And then what we evaluate, the limit of the g of x. That will be the limit for the f of x. Okay? So let's now continue having examples. Evaluate the given limit. Number 1, we have limit as x approaches 2 of x squared minus 2x all over x squared minus 4. If you have a quotient, don't be excited to substitute immediately 2 to x, no? Meaning, don't apply immediately direct substitution rule because the limit might have a problem, the function might have a problem at x equals 2 or at x equals a in general. So let's see, since this is a quotient, you have to be careful. Now let's take the limit of the denominator. The limit of the denominator, so you have 2 squared minus 4, so the limit is equal to 0. The limit of the numerator, so we have 4 minus 2 times 2, so 4 minus 4, it is also 0. So it means this limit takes the indeterminate form 0 over 0 because the quotient is 0 over 0. Okay? The quotient, the value of the function at 2. So the limit, as I said, takes the indeterminate form 0 over 0. So that is indeterminate form. If that is the case, we cannot evaluate the limit using this function. So let's try to get a function simpler than this, but with the denominator defined. Okay? So, and I mean that the denominator will not make it 0. So defined there but will not make it 0. Okay? So the technique is, of course, is to find an equivalent function for this with obvious limit. So we are going to apply factoring, no? We can factor out x, then we get x minus 2. In the denominator, that is x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay? So from which we can cancel, we can cancel what? We can cancel x minus 2, no? Yan. We are able to remove the quantity that makes the quotient having a problem. And that is now equal to, so this is equal to limit as x approaches 2, and that is limit of what? Of x over x plus 2. And that is equal to, now let's check the denominator. So it is no longer 0. Therefore, we can now apply substitution rule. So 2 over 2 plus 2. By the way, if you are already evaluating it, so do not put any more limit. If you have variable, you have to write you still have to write limit. As long as there is variable, so you have to write the operator, no? That limit is an operator, no? So this gives you an instruction that you have to perform something. And finally, this gives us what? This gives us 1/2, no? Yan, that is 2 over 4 or 1 half. So that's the limit. Okay? Yan. And do not do this way, ha? This is wrong. Limit, then you have such, and then you substitute. 0 is, let's say 2 squared. 2 squared minus 2 times 2 all over 2 squared minus 4, and then you get 0 over 0. That is not correct way of evaluating an indeterminate form. Okay? So, it's not right to do this way. So, instead, you find the limit of the numerator separately from the limit of the denominator. Don't do this. Okay? So, that's not a correct way of determining whether it is an indeterminate. You can do it mentally if you want, like this one, like what we did. We do it mentally. So, we try to get the limit of the numerator, limit of the denominator, and then we have discovered that this is indeterminate form because it takes the form of 0 over 0. But doing this way is not correct. Because if you say that this is equal to 0 over 0, why do you have to solve 1 half? Because if the limit is equal to 0 over 0, so it means 1 half is also equal to 0 over 0, which is not. So, you violate what? Algebra. Transitivity. Remember, in transitivity, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. So, okay? So, let's say if A is equal to B and B is equal to, which is not, and B is equal to C, then we say that A is equal to C, which is wrong. Okay? So, you are violating what? One property in algebra. Okay? So, don't do that, huh? So, you have to find the limit separately instead. So, let's now have another one. And what's the problem? I'm looking at the book. Problem from the book. So here. Where's the problem? I lost the problem. Wait a minute. Huh? Okay, number 2. We have, let's say, wait, I lost it. I lost the page. What? I see the page now. Limit. So again, limit. As x approaches -2 of x squared minus 3x minus 10 all over 4 minus x squared. What about this? So again, let's try to evaluate the limit of the denominator mentally. No? The denominator, the limit, because that is a polynomial, you can apply substitution rule. No? So the limit of the denominator, 4 minus 2, -2 quantity squared. So that's 4 minus 4. So the limit tends to 0, no? Or goes to 0. What about the numerator? This is -2 quantity squared, 4 minus 3 times -2, so that is positive 6. So 4 plus 6, 10, minus 10, 0. Since the numerator and denominator are both 0, so therefore, this limit takes the indeterminate form 0 over 0. So that is indeterminate form. Okay? So what we do, we apply what algebra technique? Factoring, no? Try to factor the numerator and the denominator. Since it is 0 in the numerator and denominator when x is equal to negative 2, so it means x plus 2 is one of the factors. So x plus 2, if you have x approaching negative 2, x plus 2 is a factor if the numerator and denominator are both 0 there, no? At x equals negative 2. So this is also x plus 2. So then here we have x minus, is it minus 5? No? All over, in the denominator, we have x minus 2, the other factor. So from which we can now cancel x plus 2. It is allowed to cancel that because remember, x is not really equal to negative 2. It is just approaching. So we can cancel that. And this is equal to limit as x approaches negative 2, then of what? Of x minus 5 all over x minus 2. Notice that if I'm going to get the limit of the denominator, it's no longer 0, no? Negative 2 minus 2, that is negative 4. So we can now apply substitution rule to this new limit, which is actually having limit the same with the limit of the original. So we have now negative 2 minus 5 all over negative 2 minus 2. And this gives us negative 7 over negative 4, or that is equal to 7 over 5. 7 over 4. Do you have any question, guys? Guys?
None, sir.
Let's have another one. Yan. Limit as x approaches 1 of this quotient x cubed minus 3x plus 2, and then x to the fourth minus 1. So we start with the denominator. What's the limit of the denominator? So let's see. This is 1 to the fourth minus 1, so 0. Now let's see if the numerator is also 0, the limit, no? So we have 1 minus 3 plus 2. So 2 minus 3, 2 plus 1, 3 minus 3, 0 also. So it means it is indeterminate form. Again, that is indeterminate form 0 over 0. Now, the numerator, of course, it's not that easy to factor, no? But what we know, there is a factor x minus 1 in such, no? Let's apply synthetic division. So for x cubed minus 3x plus 2. Let's factor this. So we have 1 by synthetic division, then 0 for the missing power, that is 0x squared, negative 3, and then positive 2. Our multiplier here, we know that it is 1, no? Because guaranteed that x minus 1 is a factor. Because this polynomial, x cubed minus 3x plus 2 is 0 when x is 1. So we bring down 1, multiply by 1, add, multiply by 1, add, multiply by 1. So this is 0. So this is already quadratic, no? So it means it is x squared plus x minus 2. So I can factor that, So if it is factorable, no? Later. So is it 0 there when x is 1? 1 plus 1, I think it is also 0, no? So let's factor this. So another factor of is x plus 1 is another factor for this, no? So, is also a factor again. So, we now have x minus, is that right? So, x plus 1. So, we have, what is the other? X minus 2. No, sorry. You have x minus 1 is a factor, not x plus 1. No? X minus 1. If you have 1 here, x minus 1 is a factor. And then the other factor is x plus 2. Okay? Yan. So what is now the factored form of x cubed minus 3x plus 2? So we now have x minus 1, quantity squared, then x plus 2. Okay? What about the denominator? The denominator, we have x to the 4th minus 1. So this is equal to x squared plus 1, x squared minus 1. And this is equal to x squared plus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1. Huh? Okay, guys? So therefore, this limit now, so we now have limit as x approaches 1, so we get this limit, no? So out of this is what we got. We have the denominator x minus 1, x plus 1, x squared plus 1. What about the numerator? X minus 1, x minus 1, because x minus 1 quantity squared, then x plus 2, from which I can cancel x minus 1. Huh? So we now have a limit equal to limit as x approaches 1 of x minus 1, x plus 2, all over x plus 1, x squared plus 1. The denominator is no longer 0 when x is 1. So meaning the limit of that denominator is non-zero anymore, no? So we can apply now direct substitution rule. Okay? So this is equal to so what's the limit? So that is 1 minus 1. So 1 minus 1. And then 1 plus 2. In the denominator, we have 1 plus 1. Then 1 squared is also 1, no? Plus 1. So this is equal to 0 over 2 times 2, 4. And that is equal to 0. So there is a limit and the limit is equal to 0. So what does it mean? If you're going to draw the graph of this quotient, this rational function, y equals, for instance, y equals x cubed minus 3x plus 2 all over x to the 4th minus 1. As x gets closer to 1, the value of this is getting closer and closer to 0, the quotient. Okay? So that's what it means. So that's the limit. So let us have this last for rational function. And then we're going to have other types ng functions. What number are we now? 4. So number 4, we have limit as x approaches negative 2. We have x to the 4th. The numerator is x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4. The denominator, we have 3x cubed plus 16x squared plus 28x plus 16. So let's see. Be ready with your calculator. Let's check if the denominator is 0. If the denominator is not 0, no need to check the numerator. Because if the denominator is not 0, even the numerator is 0, it's alright. The limit will now surely exist. So the denominator first, negative 2. So 3 times negative 8, so that the limit is 3 times negative 8, plus 16 times 4, minus 28 times 2, because 28 times negative 2, plus 16. So it is 0, based on my computation. Okay? You just react if it is not, huh? So let's see if the numerator is also 0. 16 minus 5 times 4 plus 4. So it is also 0. So this takes the indeterminate form 0 over 0. Okay, guys? So that's indeterminate form. Let's determine the factors of the numerator and factors of the denominator. So let's start with the numerator. X to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4. We know that x plus 2 is a factor because the root of this when equated to 0, it is what? It is 0, meaning it is a 0 of this polynomial, no? If a number is a 0 polynomial, then x minus that number is a factor. So x minus negative 2 is surely a factor, no? It's a sure factor, I mean. So how are we going to get the factored form of this? So this is equal to, even synthetic division is not performed, it's alright because this has only 3 terms, no? I can have trial and error. That is x squared minus 4, x squared minus 1, no? And this can still be factored into x squared, x plus 2, x minus 2. So that's the factored form of this. X squared minus 1, no need to factor that because we are not interested with x equals 1 or x equals negative 1. So even you factor it, but it has no bearing with a here in the limit, with negative 2, no? What about the denominator? For the denominator, we have, can we have it here? So 3x cubed plus 16x squared plus 28x plus 16. So let's list down the coefficients. 3, 16, 28, 28, 16. 3, 16, 28, 16, na? Okay, guys? So, we now have, so guaranteed negative 2 is a multiplier here because x plus 2 is what? A factor, no? So, na our trial number there is negative 2 because it will make the, what? The denominator 0. Bring down 3. Multiply by negative 2, negative 6. So add 10. So this is negative 20. When multiplied by negative 2, this 10. What is this? 20, no? Then this is what? 8. So this is negative 16. So 0. This is now a what? What you call this? A quadratic, no? So the factored form therefore is x plus 2, and then we have 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Okay? Now, so we now have these limits. So, limit, do not put equal, because you write something in between. So, you can't write equal. So, out of this, we get this limit. X approaches negative 2. So, what is cancelled, guys? I'm going to cancel na. X plus 2, I'm not going to write that anymore. So, we now have x minus 2. Then, the other factor, x squared minus 1. The denominator, we have, after cancelling x plus 2, 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. So, let's see the denominator. If it is no longer 0, what we know, the numerator is no longer 0. What about the denominator? So, let's use calculator. What's the limit of the denominator? 3 times 4 minus 20 plus 8. So, this is what? This is 0. Okay? But this is not 0. This not 0. So, it's not indeterminate form. Not indeterminate form. Again, let me check. 3 times 4 minus 20 plus 8. Is that correct, guys? Guys, 0. Of course, the numerator is no longer 0. So, it's not indeterminate form. So, we know that the limit does not exist. Because the numerator is not 0, the denominator is 0, it's not an indeterminate form. So, we cannot find an equivalent anymore here which will have a limit, no? So, that's it. So, what we check now, the sign, is it negative infinity or positive infinity? That's the question. Although we know that the limit does not exist, but to be specific, is it negative infinity or positive infinity? How will we know? You check the sign of the numerator. So, the sign of whether it is positive infinity, negative infinity for the numerator, and also, of course, for the denominator. So, let's have the numerator. The numerator, what's the limit of the numerator, guys? What's the limit of x minus 2? X squared minus 1. The limit is negative 4. This is negative for the first factor. And then times 3. Is that correct, guys? 4 minus 1, so times 3. So, negative 12. Correct me if I'm wrong, Negative 12. So, the numerator is negative. Let's see the denominator. Now, the denominator, limit as x approaches negative 2 from the left. You have to check the limit from the left. So, from the left, so we have what? What's the limit from the left? So, we have, you are going to assign a value to x that is close to negative 2, but to the left of negative 2, just to check the sign, whether it is negative or positive. So, what is that number? A little bit to the left of negative 2. So, let us have negative 2. So, we have negative 2.1. That is to the left, no? Negative 2.1. You substitute it to x, no? So, it's quantity squared. So, negative 3 times negative 2.1, square it. Then, plus 10 times negative 2.1 plus 8. Because we are determining whether it is positive or negative. So, it is something 21.23. So, it is what? Positive. Okay? So, again, the sign is 3 times 4 minus 20 plus 8. So, that is 0. Pag 2.1, 3 3 times negative 2.1 square it. Nasa left ang negative 2.1, no? Square it. Minus 10 times 2.1 plus 8. Ay, sorry, 0.23, but it's still positive. So, 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Okay? So, this is x minus 2, x squared minus 1. So, from the left, it is going to be, so negative 12 over positive, going to 0, but going to 0. So, again, negative 12. Yeah. And this is going to 0 from the right. From the right, sorry. It's from the right, no? So, negative 12 going to 0 from the right. Pag sinabing 0 from the, may positive sa taas, you're not dividing negative 12 by 0. But you are having the limit in the denominator, 0 going to, coming from the right. So, approaching 0 but from the positive values. So, this is equal to negative infinity. Okay? Now, what about from the left? Limit as x approaches negative 2, from the right this time, of 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. And then the denominator, we know that the numerator is negative 12. So it is negative 12. But let's see. So we know that it is going to be 0. But is it from the left or from the right? So let's see. But if you have, let's say, 12 over 0, you don't write that, You don't write in a limit. Be sure there is plus or minus to denote that it is approaching, not really 0. Okay? So, what is to the right of negative 2? That is negative 1.9, no? Negative 1.9 to the right, okay? So, we have 1.9. So, 3 times 1.9 times 1.9 minus 10 times 1.9, then plus 8. Negative. So, it is going to 0 through negative values. So, negative, it is positive infinity. Since from the left and from the right, we did not get a common behavior, so we conclude now that limit as x approaches negative 2 of the original, which is what? Yung original, x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4 all over 3x cubed plus 16x squared plus 28x plus 16 is equal, does not exist. No? Do not put equal, If you put equal, negative your score. Okay? So, since from the left, from the right, they don't have the same behavior, so we just write does not exist. Although, this means does not exist also, Positive infinity means does not exist also. We interpret this also does not exist. We interpret this also does not exist. But what is the behavior? So the behavior from the left, getting bigger and bigger negatively as x gets closer to negative 2. So the limit of this. And the limit of this coming from the right, getting bigger and bigger positively. Okay? So there is still no limit. In totality, the limit does not exist. Let's say this is negative infinity. This is also negative infinity. It still does not exist, but at least there is a common behavior. You write negative infinity. Okay? Yan. So, or let's say positive infinity, if that is the common behavior. That's how to solve that, okay? Do not write after verifying the behavior. So, that's the time you write does not exist, Because normally I instruct to put specific behavior, not just does not exist. You put does not exist if there is no common behavior. Number 5, or number 5 now. So finding limit is not that easy to write, no? It is easy to evaluate, but not easy to write the procedures. Because if you have wrong procedures along the way, I will not be giving you perfect score. You can read light hold. Okay? Foreign books. Do not read so much about Filipino books, no? Because there are many wrong procedures, although correct answers. Okay? So you rely on Lighthold, Lewis Lighthold, the Calculus 7, or other foreign books. Notice that I did not put equal, ha? So this is for verification. We are verifying some limits to conclude what the limit of this, so that we can conclude the limit of this given. So what about if I have something like this, okay? Limit as x approaches, let's say 3 of square root of x minus square root of 3 all over x squared minus 9. Okay? So let's see. So since there is a denominator, you have to be careful again. Let's check the behavior of the denominator. What's the limit of the denominator? So this is a polynomial, so we can apply direct substitution. 3 squared minus 9, so that is 0. Well, let's see the numerator. Square root of 3 minus square root of 3. So we can apply direct substitution to the limit of square root of x, because the limit there is not 0. Okay? So it's going to be positive 3. So this is 3. Square root of 3 minus square root of 0 also. So indeterminate form. But it contains radical. So it's not easy to what? To find that quantity that is making 0, that factor that makes the numerator and denominator 0. What technique in algebra are we going to apply? Yan. Anong technique sa algebra? We apply multiplying the numerator and denominator by a quantity that will eliminate the radical. Okay? So this is square root of x minus square root of 3 all over x squared minus 9. So we multiply this by what? What is our multiplier? Radical, no? What radical is that? By the way, we can factor the denominator, no? Let's factor the denominator now. So this is x plus 3, x minus 3. So that later we can easily remove that common factor later. That makes the numerator and denominator 0. So our multiplier, we have the conjugates of this, no? Anong conjugate ng square root of x minus square root of 3? Square root of x plus square root of 3. So that's the conjugate. All over, same quantity, so that you don't violate any. No? Yan. So this is allowed because remember, this is always positive to the vicinity ng 3, no? Yan. So we can now cancel. We can now multiply. So limit as x approaches 3. What's the product? Sa denominator, we have x plus 3, x minus 3, times square root of x plus square root of 3. Yan. Sa numerator, a minus b, a plus b. So that is x. Square root of x is x. Minus square root of 3 is 3. Okay? So that's the product. So from which I can now cancel x minus 3. So I was able now to remove the quantity that makes the numerator and denominator 0. No? So, limit. Actually, I can now evaluate limit, no? Immediately. After removal. O do I need to write? Pwede na actually mag-evaluate, no? 1 over, kung gusto nyo. Yan. O let's rewrite. So, this is x plus 3. Square root of x plus square root of 3. And this is 1, no? And this is now equal to. O, what's the limit of the numerator? 1. What's the limit of the denominator? So, this is 3 plus 3 for the first factor. Second factor is square root of 3 plus square root of 3. So, that is equal to, we are just simplifying. Okay? You remove limit if you are already evaluating a number variable. What's the denominator? That is 6 times 2, 18. 6 times 2 is what? 12 square root of 3. Because this is square root of 3, square root of 3. That is 2 square root of 3 times 6, 12 square root of 3. Numerator is 1. When you rationalize, it is square root of 3 over 3 times 12, 36. And that's the answer. Okay? Let's say in the multiple choice, you don't see this. Perhaps it is rationalized. That's it. Question, guys? Let's have number 6. We have 9 minus 1, 8. This is 9 minus 4. Oh, it's not. So let's have this. Square root of limit, or as x approaches let's say 1 of we have square root of 5 minus x minus 2x the numerator we have x squared plus 5x 1 plus 5 6 minus 6. Yan. Let's see. What are we going to do? This contains radical, no? So we cannot simply cancel something because we cannot factor this like a polynomial, no? So let's check. What's the limit of the denominator, guys? Still alive, children? What is the limit of the radical? The limit of the radical is 5 minus 1. Since it's not 0, so going to be greater than 0. So we can apply substitution rule and limit ng composite, no? Ang square root, limit ng square root is square root ng limit. Ano ang limit ng 5 minus x? 5 minus 1. So which is 4. Square root ng 4, 2. 2 times 1, 2. 2 minus 2, 0. What about the numerator? 1 plus 5 minus 6, 0 also. So it is 0 over 0. Indeterminate. So limit as x approaches 1. So we get rid of the radical. How to rationalize the denominator? This time, ang ra-rationalize natin denominator, no? So we copy square root of 5 minus x minus 2x, numerator, x squared, plus 5x minus 6 times, what is our multiplier? Square root yung conjugate niya, no? 5 minus x minus, magiging plus 2x ang conjugate. Okay, so square root of 5 minus x plus 2x. We multiply also the denominator by 5 minus x square root of that plus 2x. Oh. Can you follow, guys? Guys?
Yes, sir.
Because I will be giving you another activity about mga limit, no? Mga complicated limit. But I am checking the procedure, how you do it, not just the answer. Because you might Google the answer, but your solution is not correct. It is not properly written, your procedure. I am after the procedure, not the answer. Really. What's the product of in the numerator, in the denominator? Where do you think part of the fraction will have more terms? Alin ang may maraming terms? Yung numerator, no? Kung saan may maraming terms, you start writing there. So, numerator. The numerator, by the way, is factorable into what? Into x minus 1, and then x plus 6, and then multiplied by square root of 5 minus x minus x, and then plus 2x. What about the denominator? A minus b, a plus b. So square of the first, so 5 minus x. Minus square of the second, 4x squared. Okay? So, let's try to factor the denominator. Because that is still 0 over 0. Because we haven't canceled the 0 of the x minus 1, So it means it's still the same, no? Having it, that is still indeterminate. So let's factor the denominator. So numerator, we just copy. This is what we want to remove, x minus 1. So guaranteed, there is also x minus 1 in the denominator. Because it makes the denominator is 0 when x is 1. Plus 2x. So here we have negative. Negative. So this is now, or let us have a scratch here. So somewhere here, no? I will put a scratch. So 4x squared minus, magiging plus x, minus 5, after factoring out negative. And this is factorable into one of the factors, x minus 1, because it makes the denominator 0. So when x is 1, so x minus 1 is a factor. So the other factor is 4x, then minus or plus 5, no? Let's check negative 4, positive 5, so positive x, 1x, no? So negative 5, okay, okay. So negative x minus 1, negative of x minus 1, the other factor, 4x plus 5. Okay, cancel now that common. So, I can now evaluate limit. Pwede na ako evaluate ang limit. Limit, yan. As x approaches 1 of, hindi na 0 ang denominator, no? Okay, so limit now exists. So, evaluate ko na, So, I will not write anymore the limit. I will proceed immediately. Pag in-evaluate nyo na, wala na yung word na limit, x plus 6, so 1 plus 6, the limit of that is 1 plus 6. What's the limit of the second factor? 5 minus 1, the limit of the radical is 5 minus 1, that is 4 square root ng 4, 2. So that is square root ng 5 minus 1, yun yung limit niyan, plus 2 times 1. Okay? The denominator is negative of 4 times 1 times 1, then plus 5. Okay. What is that equal to, guys? This is 7. 4 square root is 2. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 times 7, 28. What is in the denominator? 9. So, negative 28 over 9. Can we still simplify that? Not anymore. Okay, guys? So, that's how we evaluate. Let's have some more about radicals. That is one type of limit that students normally get mistake. No? Okay? So, let's now have another. Number 7. Limit. As x approaches, let's have square root of 2x as x approaches positive 2. So, 2 times 2, 4 minus 3. Minus 3 here. Then, plus, remember 2 times 2, 4 minus 3, 1 square root is 1. Plus, let's say here is 5x. So, this is 10. 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 10. Plus, kanina ilan? I'm making a problem. Kanina ay 2, no? Ay 1. 1 plus 10, 11. Minus 11. So, guaranteed 0 yan. Ang ilalim naman, I want it to be x cubed. Ilan na yan? 8 na. Minus 5 x. Ilan na yan? Minus 10. No? So, negative 2. Di plus 2. Plus 2. Okay, guys? Ayan. So, we now have a problem. Ganyan pag nagagawa ng problem. Kaya pag ngayon naging teacher, gumawa lang kayo ng expression, magsisiro ang numerator, 0 ang denominator. Hindi indeterminate. So, ibig sabihin, kung mag-exist ang limit, dapat mahanap mo, you have to find x minus 2 factor in the numerator, in the denominator. Okay? So, let's see. Because I made the numerator and denominator 0, guaranteed 0 ang limit niyan. Check uli natin, baka hindi. Baka nagkamali ako. What is the limit of the denominator? Polynomial yan. So, the limit of a polynomial is just the value of the polynomial at x equals 2. So, 8 minus 10, negative 2 plus 2, 0. Okay. 2 times 2, 4, minus 3, 1. Square root ng 1, 1. So, that's not equal to 0 or less than 0, no? 5 times 2, 10. Minus 11, what is that equal to? 0, no? So, 1 plus 5 times 2, 10. 10 plus 1, 11, 0. Indeterminate. So, let's multiply. Limit. Multiply this original function in the limit, that quotient, square root of 2x minus 3, then plus 5x minus 11 in the denominator, x cubed. By the way, let's factor the denominator. Anong factored form ng denominator? Let us have synthetic here. So, we know that x minus 2 is already a factor, no? Kung gusto nyo long division, so x minus x cubed minus 5x, pero mas madali ang synthetic. I-divide natin ng x minus 2 kasi x minus 2 is one of the factors. So, x squared, so that is x cubed minus 2x squared. So, 0 minus, meron yung 0x squared eh. So, that is 0 minus, so 2x squared. And then, i-bring down nyo yung negative 5x. Kasi katapat nito yung 0, x squared eh. Okay, 0 minus negative 2x squared is 2x squared. So, 2x squared divided by x. So, that is positive 2. So, 2x squared, positive 2x. 2x squared, then, minus 4x. And then, this is equal to what? Negative x. Bring down 2, no? So, divide 1. Multiply negative x, so minus 1. Negative x, positive 2. Subtract 0. So, the other factor is, yun, no? So, we have x plus what? Minus 2. And then, the other factor is x squared plus 2x minus 1. What is our multiplier? Anong multiplier natin para ma-rationalize ang numerator? Okay? I'm now going to remove this, Yan. Because I need this space. And I need this space. You should know how I got this factor, What is our multiplier, guys? How to rationalize the numerator? Anong pang-multiply natin? Conjugate third, no? Or conjugate nito. Anong conjugate niyan, guys? Ay, guys. Naku, yung iba yata nagdi-dinner na. Hindi na nakikinig. Kaya pag nag-solve na ka, kung ano nung pinaggagawa, nakakahiya sa mga taga-UP or Ateneo. Tulad kayo pa naman ay isang uri ng UP, di ba? Polytechnic, University of the Philippines. So you are subset of University of the Philippines. Dapat correct procedure. Hindi yung kung centralized school lang, Yung minus, so minus tayo ngayon. 5x plus 11, no? Yan yung conjugate niya. So, square root of 2x minus 3. Pag kayo nag-evaluate ng limit na kung ano-anong pinaggagawa nyo, halimbawa, sinasubstitute nyo dyan, limit is equal to, lalagay nyo, dot, equal 0 over 0, it means you are from the other side of UP. Sa mga gilid-gilid dyan, or ng Ateneo. No? That's not how they evaluate that. So, okay? That's not the correct way of evaluating. Kasi as I explained that to you, kung yan ay equal sa 0 over 0, ay bakit mo pa i-evaluate ang limit? Equal na pala sa 0 over 0. Ang limit, ang equal sa 0 over 0, yung form lang niya, yung form, not the actual limit. Okay? It takes the form of such. Kasi ang limit, you want it to exist as much as possible. Ayan, nawala na ako. Let's see. Minus 5x plus 11. Okay. This is equal to limit. Ito yung mga crucial sa pag-evaluate ng limit. No? So, we now have ano ang mangyayari sa numerator, sa denominator. Saan maraming terms? Sa denominator. Sa denominator tayo magsimula. Ganyang kahaba yan. X minus 2. X minus 2 will disappear later. X squared plus 2x minus 1 and then times the square root of 2x minus 3 and then minus 5x plus 11. Yan. Actually, I can now remove the parentheses, no? Minus 5x minus 11. Yan. Okay? Then the numerator naman, a plus b, a minus b. O, square the first. Anong square ng una? 2x minus 3. Anong square ng 5x minus 11? So, minus ha? Minus the square of that. Okay? So, yung una, 2x minus 3. Yung pangalawa, minus square of this, 25x squared minus 55 yan eh. Times 2, 110. Is that correct? 110, guys. Sino ang hindi pipe? Okay, guys. Last 121, no? Diba times 2, 11 times 5, 55 times 2, 110, negative. O yan. O. Dapat magka-factor yan ng x minus 2. Kailangan may factor yan ng x minus 2. O, simplify muna natin yan, ha? Let's simplify that. 2x. O, let's simplify. So, let's put something here. O, negative. Negative. 25x squared minus, o ano children yung negative 110? Pinactor out ko yung negative ha? Negative 110. Pag nilagay ko yung 2x sa loob, negative din kasi positive to. Pag sinuot ko sa loob, negative para positive 2x. Negative 1, 1, 2x. Tama ba, children? Minus. O ano ang denominator? Ay, ano ang last term, yung constant term? Negative 3. Pag pinactor out ko yung negative dito, ang papasok sa loob, positive 3. O, 124. Is that correct, children? All children of the Philippines. Yan. Factor nyo. Sinong magbibigay sa akin ng factor? Could you please help me? Anong factor niyan? Of course, ang isang factor niyan, alam na natin na x minus 2. O x minus 2. Anong other factor? Ay di 25x minus. Kasi kailangan natin negative eh. Ang middle, ang outside positive. Di, minus to. O ano na lang ang natitira para maging 124? Negative 2 na ang factor. Negative 60. Ilan? 124 divided by 62. Yan. 62. Okay? O, yan yung other factor niya. O, kakancelin ko na ha. O, di ba ito na yung numerator. Ito na yung denominator. Anong magkakancel? X minus 2, no? So, ano na magiging limit? Do not put equal. Kasi I wrote something in between. Don't put equal, ha? Hindi maka-equal kayo. Kayo pag moving from the top going down, equal. If you insert something, you cannot put equal anymore because the equal means to the last statement. This is what you want to be equal. So what you do, implication na lang, implies. So meaning, out of this, we get, ito na yung makukuha natin, limit, as x approaches what? 2 of, ano yung children? O tatanggalin ko na yung ano ha? Yung mga istorbo. X minus 2. Remove na ha? Kasi cancel na. Is that clear, guys? Guys. Ayaw nilang sumagot. O yan. Plus 2x minus 1. Lalo na yung mga engineering ha? Pag engineering, nako, pagdating nyo ng integral, differential equations, pahirapan. Buti kung laging online, ay pag nag-face-to-face yan, you have to memorize everything. Lahat ng identities ng senior high nyo sa pre-cal. Lahat ng formulas in analytic geom. Negative 5x. Yan. And then, okay, kulang, sorry. Minus 11. Okay? Ang numerator, negative. Ano na lang natira, children? 25x O, isasama ko na yung negative. Negative, so negative, positive 62 minus 25x. I remove already the common, ha? Did you get that, children? O, ito, pwede ng equal. O, let's now evaluate. I don't think the denominator is still 0, no? O, let's check the limit of the denominator to guarantee, no? 4 plus 2 minus 1. It's not. Hindi naman to 0. No? So, ito 1. 1 minus 5. 1 minus 5. Oh, not 0. Oh, we can now apply substitution technique. Oh, substitution technique. 2 squared. So, for the limit, minus 1. So, multiply 2. What's the limit of this radical? 1, no? What's the limit of this negative 5x? 5. Ay, sorry. 10. Is that 10, no? Okay. Magre-react kayo pag may mali ako. Minus 11. Kasi ang liit ng screen, it's hard for me to look at the screen. 62 minus 25 times 2, 50. O yan. O what's now the limit? 12 over, o what's the denominator? 20? Sigurado? 28? Let me check. So, 4 plus 4, 8 minus 1, 7 times 1 minus 2, 10 minus 11, 140. Who answered that? 140, Iha. Is that right, guys? Oh, could you please check? Guys, is that correct? When simplified, 3 over 35. Oh, is there any violent reaction, blue reaction, red reaction? Why, guys, is that correct? Why, guys? Oy, guys. Huh? Negative 20. Because this is negative 21. So negative 20 times 7. Negative 140. Negative. Okay. Negative 140. So negative 3 over 35. Okay na, guys? Okay now? Ay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here. Let's have another 3 over 35, no? Negative. Okay, number 8. Number 8. Limit. As x approaches ito this one. Negative 1. And then, we have x plus 1 in the numerator, x plus 1. In the denominator, 1 plus cube root of 1. Ayan, cube root ng 1 ay x. Again, limit as x approaches negative 1 of x plus 1 all over 1 plus cube root of x. This time, the radical is cube root. Pag cube root, fifth root, seventh root, no problem. Even the radicand is negative. There is always a cube root for a real number, whether 0, negative, or positive. So, but let's check the limit of the numerator and denominator. Denominator first. 1 plus cube root of negative 1, that is 0. Numerator, obviously 0 also, the limit. So, this takes the form 0 over 0. So, what are we going to do, guys? We are going to find another function such that the function has a factor x minus negative 1 so that we can cancel, no? Let's get the equivalent. Anong multiplier natin, children? So this is x plus 1. 1 plus cube root of x. Anong multiplier, children?
Conjugate ng denominator.
Oh, not conjugate. Because that is not square root. So, if this is a plus b, a plus b, a plus b, what is to be multiplied so that the product is a cubed plus b cubed? Because if the product is a cubed plus b cubed, meaning you just cube it, you cube this, you will able to eliminate radical. Oh. What is that multiplier to a plus b so that the product is just the cube of 1 and the cube root of x? Diba ang cube ng cube root of x is x? Oh, how will I get this product? What will be the multiplier? So the multiplier, children, is what? Diba ano ang other factor nito? So this is a squared plus minus ab plus b squared. Okay, guys? O, ano daw ang a? 1. Yan, 1. Then, squared. A squared. Then, minus product of what? AB. Ito yung AB. Product, pero minus. So, cube root ng x. Yan yung product ng AB. Cube root ng x. Then, plus square ng b. Square nito. The cube root of x squared. Yan yung square ng cube root ng x. Cube root ng x, quantity squared means cube root of x squared. That is also what you're going to multiply in the numerator. Minus cube root of x plus cube root of x squared. Okay, guys? So that will guarantees the elimination of this radical. Okay? Yan. Anong product ngayon ng numerator at ano ang numerator and denominator? So this is equal to the limit, kasya ba? As x approaches negative 1 of kasya, what do you think? You don't think? So, ano ang product ng numerator? X plus 1 times 1 minus cube root of x plus cube root of x squared. Yan. In the denominator, a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. Oh, what's the product? So, cube the first plus the cube of the second. Kasi ang product is a cube plus b cube. Okay? So, cube the second. So, x. Oh. Okay now, guys? Oh, I can now cancel. Naghang. Yan. I can now cancel the common. Bye-bye 1 plus x. And that is equal to x plus 1. So, I can cancel that. Is that clear, children?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, let's select this. Because I need this quantity. Copy. Oh, next line. Oh, next slide. Oh, here. Ay, what happened? Nasira. Just copy. Let's just copy. So it is equal now to, this is equal to the last limit as x approaches negative 1 of, what is now in the numerator? Actually, no more denominator, no? Meaning the denominator is 1. So I just have 1. I will just have 1 minus cube root of what? Of x plus cube root of x squared. Yan. Since that it does not contain any more denominator and cube root is always defined, we can apply substitution technique. What's the limit of 1? 1. What's the limit of the second term? Cube root of negative 1. I will write cube root ng negative 1. Ang cube root, fifth root, walang problema yan eh. Cube root of 1, negative 1, quantity squared. Okay, guys? What is that? Equal to 1. This is negative 1, so plus 1. This is 1, cube root, because this is 1, negative 1 quantity squared. So cube root is 1, no? So what's the answer, children? 3. So the limit is 3. Okay? Is it amazing, children? Yes. Is it surprising? Surprising? Yes. It surprises you, no? That the limit is 3. Hi, guys.
Sir, hindi po ba 1?
Ha?
Hindi po ba yung sagot ay 1?
Hindi ba? Mali ba ako? Teka, check ko nga itong denominator. 1 ba? Bakit 1?
1 minus cube root of negative 1 po.
Ang cube root ng negative 1 is what?
Positive
That's po negative.
Negative 1. Times negative, positive 1. Ano ang square ng negative 1? 1. Anong cube root ng 1? 1. So, 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. Okay now, guys?
Yes, sir.
Baka may mali ako. I accept mistakes. No one is perfect except God. No? So, imagine, He created humans so that in such a way that humans feel pain. Ang tao nakakaramdam ng sakit. Bakit daw kailangan makaramdam ng sakit ang tao? Otherwise, baka kainin mo yung kamay mo o yung laman mo if you don't feel any pain. Hindi ka na mag-work. Pag nagutom ka, kakainin mo yung katabi mo o yung kapatid mo kasi hindi naman nasasaktan. Or you don't you don't notice that you are eating your flesh because you don't feel any pain. So that's why we are created experiencing pain. Okay, guys? So imagine, why is it that people die? Because if people will not die, so we will not fit on the earth. Okay? So that's why we are made to die. Okay? Why do you have to calamity? So that people can die. And people can die of calamity. Kaya it's weather lang. Kung sino ang swerte, no? Tayo swerte because we are still alive. But if we die, don't what you call this? Don't be lonely, no? Be happy that we will be with God na. Okay, guys? Number ano tayo, children? 8, 9. 9 na tayo, 9. Ayan. This is just about radicals, ha? I am giving you so many types of possibilities of limits that you will be encountering. What about this? Ito medyo mahirap-hirap. Okay? Ayan. X approaches 0. Ayan. Ayan. So we have from the right. I don't think it should be from the right. Wala pa tayong from the right. Sige, from the right. So we now have, review muna, is square root of x. Yan. What is the limit of square root of x if x comes from the right? If x comes from the right, what we are substituting to x is actually positive numbers very, very close to 0. We are not substituting 0, ha? So what's the limit of this? So this is going to be 0 but through positive values. So the limit is going to be 0. Okay, guys? So it is equal to square root of 0. Yan. And that is equal to what? to 0. Because it goes to 0 through positive values. So we can substitute. But if you have like this, let us have another one. Limit as x approaches 0, but this time from the left of square root of x. What are we substituting to x? Negative values that are close to 0. Negative 0.01, negative 0.001, negative 0.0001. So this x is what? The radical is going to be 0 but through negative values. So you cannot apply substitution technique. This principle, limit of nth root of x as x approaches a, you cannot apply because your f of x is not going to be positive. For this case, the limit of this is not going to be positive. It's going to be what? Negative through negative values. So therefore, we cannot apply substitution technique. When you draw the graph of this, it does not come from the left. There is no graph from the left. Therefore, what's the limit? Guys, does not exist. So see the difference, children? If coming from the right, I can substitute. I can apply substitution technique because the limit of this is not actually through negative values. Okay? So since this goes to through 0 but through positive values, so I can apply substitution technique and the limit of that is 0. Okay? But this one, the graph of that is actually like this, no? Travel o yung travel natin. Ito yung 0, square root, that is square root of x. Yan. Travel from the right. So it goes here. It goes to 0. But from the left, it does not travel. So you cannot travel from the left. Therefore, the limit does not exist. And it's not infinity or negative infinity. It just does not exist. Okay? Or no limit. What is the limit, therefore, of square root of x as x approaches 0? Since the limit from the right and the limit from the left are not equal, actually one of them does not exist. Therefore, our conclusion here, the limit does not exist in totality. Because when we say x approaches 0, it means both from the left and from the right. So remember the theorem that we have? The limit of f of x as x approaches 0 is equal to L, which is a real number, if and only if the limit from the right and the limit from the left as x approaches a, from the left and from the right, must be L also, meaning must exist and are both equal to L also for the limit of f of x as x approaches a to exist. Is that clear, children? Okay now, ha? So before I go to number 10, let's have one more. Let's have a number 10. Limit as x approaches, let's say 4 of square root of, let's say 4 minus x. If you're given this problem, how to know the limit? First, you check the limit from the left, limit from the right. Because this is endpoint, meaning this is nasa endpoint siya. Endpoint. Pag nasa endpoint, you check the limit from the left, limit from the right. So ang solution nyo, you check the limit from the left, of 4. Ano ang nasa left ng 4? 3.9, 3.999, 4 minus 3 point something. So I can substitute because this x is approaching 4 pero through values less than 4. Kaya 4 minus less than 4 is going to be 0 through positive values. Okay? Because x is 3.9, 3.999, but approaching 4 through positive values. 4 minus less than 4 is going to be 0 through positive values. What about if you have limit as x approaches 4 from the right, of square root of 4 minus x. What am I substituting to x? Supposedly, close to 4 from the right. 4.1, 4.01, 4.001. But it is greater than 4. 4 minus greater than 4 is going to be 0 through negative values. Square root of negative, that is not a real number. Therefore, the limit does not exist. Hence, not roosters. Therefore, the limit as x approaches what? Approaches 4 of square root of 4 minus x does not exist. Is that clear, children? Okay, children who are already sleeping?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ha? So don't immediately substitute. You have to check the left and the right for this case if you have radical. But if your order of the radical, add number, cube root. So you have cube root for 5th root, 7th root, 9th root, no problem. Because the cube root, the 5th root, or the nth root, add nth root of any number is a real number. It always exists. Okay? I can now proceed to a number 11. We can now work on number 11. Because this is a little bit complicated. So it's just like your love life, no? Complicated. Lalo na ngayon you don't see much your loved ones. X approaches 0, no? From the right. I want it from the right. So square root of, x minus 1. So it is from the right, not approaching 0, but approaching 0 from the right. Ang concern lang natin, through what? Through positive values. Napapunta sa 0. Pero not negative, not even 0 actually. So x minus 1, ay wala palang parenthesis. X minus 1 plus square root of x minus 1, x plus 1 I mean, square root of, square root of x, square root ng x, then, minus cube root of x. Yan. Okay, guys? Let's check. What is 0 plus 1, children? What's the denominator first? What is limit ng square root ng x? X approaches 0 from the right. Pwede bang substitution rule? Yes. We evaluated that already. Ito yan eh. So, 0. Cube root ng 0, 0. I can evaluate that. Pero kung nakalagay, let's say, x approaches 0, approaching 0, does not exist automatic yan. Why? Because this radical does not exist kapag approaching 0 lang. Pag approaching 0 from the left, it still does not exist. Kasi because of this, this and this. Kaya dapat from the right para mag-exist. Affected nito yung lahat. Okay, guys? What about this? 0 minus 1, 1, negative 1. 0 plus 1, 1, square root is 1, negative 1 plus 1, 0. Indeterminate. Okay, guys? Indeterminate form. Okay? Next. So, we are now going to manipulate such. From the right, don't forget to write 0 from the right. What is our multiplier, guys? Yan ngayon ang challenge. Anong ipang-multiply natin? Guys. Minus cube root of x. What are you going to multiply, children? Ay may cube root, may square root. Saan kayo papanig ngayon? Sa cube root ba o sa square root? Children? Guys. Alisin ko muna yung cube root na. So, para mas later yung may cube root. Para baka kayo magulumihan agad, no? Remove ko muna ito. Gawin ko muna siyang x, no? Yan, just x. Kasi medyo complicated agad yun. Actually, kung may cube root, 3 times kayong magmamanipulate. 3 times. Anong gusto mo nang unahing tanggaling radical? Yung square root ng x plus 1 or yung square root ng x, children? Children, anong gusto niyo muna? Yung square root muna ng x, no? Sige, square root ng x muna. Pag square root ng x muna ang gusto niyo tanggalin, ang multiplier niyo, conjugate ng square root ng x minus x. So, which is square root ng x plus x. Square root ng x, then plus x. Okay? Pag minultiply niyo yan, ang matatanggal ay itong radical na yan. Magiging square root ng x, square root ng x. So, x minus x squared. Okay? Next. Ang susunod niyong tatanggalin ay yun namang nasa taas. Ito. Paano naman matanggal ang square root ng x plus 1? Ang imumultiply naman natin, children, is x minus 1 minus square root of x plus 1. Yan. 2 beses kayo magra-rationalize. Okay, children? Kasi magkaiba yung radical eh. You cannot eliminate the radical simultaneously. Let's now multiply. So, limit as x approaches 0 from the right. So, ito, multiply muna dito. Yan. Tsaka, ilalim muna. Ito times, anong gusto nyo? Taas muna, baba. Ito, pag minultiply ko sa numerator, ang lalabas is square root of x plus x. Okay, guys? Yan. Yan yung dito. At ito naman, times ito, yan ay times, anong product nito? Tsaka ito, children, a plus b, a minus b. Square ng una, minus square ng pangalawa. Anong square ng radical? X plus 1 kulong. Okay, children? What about the denominator? Ito at ito, anong product, children? Ang product nito at ito ay x minus x squared. X minus, di ba? A minus b, a plus b, x minus x squared. Okay, guys? Ayan. And then after that, ito naman. Multiply dito. Ito na, multiply na natin. So, copy na lang. X minus 1. And then, X minus 1 na to, no? Minus, kahit tanggalin ko na yung parenthesis. X minus 1 minus square root of x plus 1. Okay, guys? Do you have question, guys? Guys, may question ba sa pag-multiply? Guys. Do you have any question? Baka may mali ako, ha?
Sir.
Yes.
Wala yung cube root, sir.
Binago ko na yung problem, actually. Hindi ko palang nababago yung taas. Di ba sabi ko, tatanggalin ko yung cube root muna? Kasi mahirap siya agad pag may cube root. Hindi ka siguro nakikinig. Hindi ko pa nga lang nababago totality lahat. Tulog ka. O pretending listening only. Di ba sabi ko, palitan muna natin yung cube root? Kasi mahirap pag may cube root. Dahil 3 beses kanyan, magra-rationalize. Kasi iba yung cube root eh. It's not easy to manipulate cube root. No? Yan. Okay, guys? O, yan muna yung given kunyari. Okay na? O, may question pa, children? Children? Ha? O, no more, ha? O, sa multiplication natin, no more problem, ha? So, square the first minus square the second. Yan. O, let's now simplify the numerator. O, anong numerator, children? X approaches 0 from the right. May mga software online na hindi nakaka-distinguish ng from the left, from the right, ha? Kaya akala lagi niya approaching 0, halimbawa approaching 0 or approaching A only. Kaya na-evaluate pa rin niya. Kaya hindi laging safe mag-evaluate online, ha? Yung mga online resources, ha? Hindi pa siya napoprogram ng ganon. Nang nakaka-recognize ng from the left, from the right. Okay? O, ano nang nangyari, guys? Oy, guys. Ano nang simplified form? Square root of x plus x. O, ito, ano? Guys. Ha? That is x squared minus ano? Guys. 3x. Di ba yan lang?
Yes, sir.
O, denominator. Factor out na natin yung x, no? Isang factor na rin lang. 1 minus x. O, ito. Yan. X minus 1 minus square root of x plus 1. Yan. O, tingnan natin kung okay na. Meron pa pwedeng makancel, di ba? Kasi 0 over 0 pa rin yan. O, ano ang pwede nating cancel in here? Yung x, di ba? Pag pinactor out yung x dito, anong lalabas? O, anong ibig sabihin nito? Di ba? Ito ay ano? That is x minus 3. Is that correct, guys?
Yes po.
O, di-cancel na yung isang x. So, anong matitira? Square root ng x plus x multiplied by x minus 3, na? All over. From 0 from the right to, ha? Don't forget, ha? 0 from the right. 0 from the right. O, the denominator. Wala na yung x, no? 1 minus x. Ito, okay na. Hindi na nagsisiro itong factor na to. Ito ba nagsisiro pa? 0. 0 minus 1 minus 1 to, no? Hindi na ito nagsisiro, no? Okay na yung denominator. O, pwede na. Hindi na nagsisiro ang denominator. Am I correct, children?
Yes po, sir.
O,
Yes.
pwede na. Kahit mag-zero ang numerator, okay lang. As long as ang denominator hindi. So, ang denominator, 1 minus 0, multiplied to 0 minus 1 minus 1. O, yan. Limit nito, 0. Yan. So, ang numerator, 0, 0, o 0 na yan. Okay? Bakit 0 na ang numerator, children? Ang limit, 0 na yung first factor. O second factor, automatic times that, 0 na rin, no? Ang product. O what's now the final answer? 0. Okay, children? Okay, guys.
Yes po, sir.
Okay, yan. So, 0. Kaya pag ginrap niyo yan, pag malapit sa 0 from the right, mapapansin niyo ang graph niya, nasa 0, pumupunta. Okay? Pero undefined siya there, yung function. Oh, yan. Next. Oh, anong number na? 10, 11, 12. 12 now. Oh, 12. Number 12. Limit. Ay! Umakyat ang pusa. Nagugulat ako sa pusa. Limit, itong pusang to, itim pa naman ang kulay niya, nakakatakot. Approaches. Get out, cat. Limit. Bibigyan ko kayo ng merong cube root na square root. Ito yung kanina. Pero, hindi ba ko yung problem, ha? Then, we have 1 minus cube root. Okay? As x approaches 1. Square root ng 1, wala naman problem, no? Malayo siya sa 0. Okay? So, the limit of that exists. So, this is 0, this is 0. Again, indeterminate. So, we get limit. As x approaches 1, square root of x minus 1, 1 minus cube root ng x. How to get rid of the radicals? Anong gusto nyong unahin? Natanggalin. Yung square root muna. Yung square root muna, so multiply by the conjugate. Yung square root ng x plus 1. Square root ng x plus 1 times yung namang radical na cube root. Paano mawala? Ito a minus b. Ang multiplier natin a squared, so 1 plus product cube root of x. And then plus square ng cube root. So, cube root of x squared. Okay? We copy that. Sana makopy. Kumisa kasi ayaw makopy. Ayaw nga. Ayaw. Laso. Copy. Yan. So, that's the numerator also. Okay, guys? That is equal to limit as x approaches 1. What about this? Anong product ng square root of x minus 1 is square root of x plus 1? What's the product of that, children? X minus 1 times this radical, no? Yan. But let's change the color. Yan. So that radical, ayaw nang sumulat. Yan. Then, the denominator, multiply ko namang 1 minus cube root of x times 1 plus cube root of x plus cube root of x squared. A minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. So, that is a cubed minus b cubed. So, that is 1 minus x multiplied to itong yellow. We just copy the yellow. Again, a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. So this is the product. Cube the first minus cube of the second. So I can now cancel this except that the quotient of this is negative 1 kasi x minus 1, 1 minus x. No? So negative ang result. Okay? Pag kinancel mo. So this is equal to limit. Yan. As x approaches 1, negative, no? Negative. So, copy. Put there. Ito na yung natira eh. Then make it white. Yan. Then, This is negative now, no? Kaya I cancel, but negative. Then the denominator is square root of x plus 1. Oh, is that clear, guys? Guys, are you still there? Iniwan nyo na yata ako.
Yes, sir.
Oh, marami pa ba na nadya na buhay? Yung iba hindi na nakapasok, no? Merong tumutunog. Tumutunog, sabi ko kasi after hindi na. Because may istorbo tayo. Limit. Hanggat maaari ayoko kasi nakikita yung mga pangalan nyo. Kasi nasa YouTube to eh. Oh, we can now evaluate limit by the way, no? Oh, what's now the limit? Ayan, negative. Oh, 1 plus 1 plus 1 all over 1 plus 1. Oh, what is the limit now, children? Negative 3/2. Okay, children? Oh, that's how to evaluate that. Yung una kanina, yun ang mahirap. 3 beses ka magmumultiply. Di ba kanina, yung previous one, yung kung cube root to, kung cube root yan, magmumultiply ka na sa square root, magmumultiply ka pa sa ano. Actually, let's try that. Let's try. Pero yung yung gano'n, no? Magkahiwala, magkasama. Tingnan natin. Okay, so we have number number 13. Limit, as x approaches, let's say, yung kanina, no? Approaching 0 from the right. From the right, ha? From the right. Kasi, ang square root ay, yan, square root ng x minus cube root ng x. Kasi ito, wala namang left graph. Nasa to the right ng 0 lang ang graph niya. From 0 to the right. At yung numerator, simplihan na lang natin ang numerator. So, x yan. X na lang. Okay? Yan. O again, what's the limit from the right? This exists. Or the limit that is 0. Pero from the left, does not exist to, ha? Ito, from the right, is still 0, no? So, 0 over 0. So, ang multiplier natin, children, yan, ay, tingnan natin kung ano. Dahil may cube root yan, ang gusto natin mawala ang cube root, no? So, we consider this a plus b, pwedeng radical muna gusto mong mawala. Pero ito muna. So, multiply natin ng a plus b. Ito a minus b. Multiply natin siya ng a squared plus ab plus b squared. Square tong x. Dapat hindi ko tinuro to sa inyo. Ito yung normally binibigay ko pang challenge. Yan. Merong tama ang sagot. Ang problema, ginugel. Hindi nga lang alam ang solution kasi sagot agad. Anong multiplier natin? Yan, multiplier. Ang una munang tatanggalin ko yung cube root, ha? So, ang multiplier ko is a minus b. So, square. Anong square nito? X. So, tingnan ko. Kung matatanggal na, no? Ang multiplier ko is a squared plus, no? ab plus b squared. Ito yung a ko, ito yung b. Square nito, so x. Plus, product nila, product. Magiging, anong product niyan? Sixth root. Sixth root pala yan. Tama ba? Sixth root? Sorry. Tingnan ko nga. Hindi pala sixth root. Sorry. X to the 1/3. Tsaka times x to the 1/2. Check ko nga. Anong product, children? Could you please help me? Pag same base, we add exponent. What's the product? 1 divided by 2 plus 1 divided by 3. Anong fraction? 5 over 6, na? X to the 5 over 6. Is that correct, children? Ang product niya, so 6th root ng x to the 5th. Yan. Pag nabibigla ako sa algebra, then square nito, square. So that is cube root ng x squared. All over, yan, dapat kinapi ko muna bago ko nag-all over. Para hindi ko na isusulat. Copy, ayaw makopy. Copy, tapos all over. Yan, Control V. Yan. Did you understand, children? Okay lang kung hindi naintindihan. Ganyan talaga pag mapurol sa algebra. No? Pag wala talagang talent sa math. Garayin ko na to, ha? Is my product correct, children? Diba? A minus B. Ang multiplier natin is square ng una, dx, plus product ng A and B. Ito yung A, ito yung B. A minus B. So, multiply mo rin yung square root tsaka cube root. Cube root is square root. Ang product, x to the 5 over 6. Okay, guys? 3 plus, and then, ibig sabihin yun, 6 root ng x to the 5th. Kaya ang product ng ilalim is square cube the first plus cube of the second later. Tingnan natin kung maalis natin. Baka nabigla lang ako hindi pala natatanggal, hindi pala kaya ng algebra. Kung minsan, gawa ng problem, yung pala, hindi pala pwede ng algebra. I mean, algebra can't do that. This is now equal to limit as x approaches 0 from the right, yung ilalim muna, yung ilalim. A, anong product nito? Cube nito, di ba? A minus B. A squared plus B squared. Anong cube ng una? Hindi yan matatanggal yung radical, ha? That is cube root ng cube nito, no? Cube. So, x cube. Ayan. Ano ang cube ng square root ng x? Square root ng x, square root ng x, square root ng x. So, that is x square root ng x. Anong cube root ng x cube? Square root ng x cube. So, that is x square root of x. Okay? O kaya, square root ng x cube. Yan. Now, ang square root ng x squared ay x, not negative x, kasi true positive values yan. Alam natin ang x natin ay positive. Kaya ang square root ng x squared is x, not negative x. So, actually, absolute value ang square root ng x squared. Pero x kasi true positive values tayo. Then, minus. Ito, ano ang cube nito? Ang cube niyan ay x. And x. Cube the first. Okay? Plus cube of the second. Ito na yan. So, a cube minus b cube. Ang numerator, guys. Ang numerator, di na yata sila makahinga. Sabi nila, ay, ganyan pala yung mga limit pag algebraic. Kala nyo, madali na, no? Nakaalis na kayo sa graphical. Yung pala, mas matindi pa, no? Yan. So, we now have x times, ito copy ko. Ano ba yung kinopy ko kanina? Ayun. Ilagay natin dito. Yan yung product sa numerator, eh. Yan yung multiplier. And then, color it white, parenthesis. Okay. Di hindi ko na siya isusulat. Yan. Okay, guys? That is equal to. Pwede ko nang ma-factor out ang x. I can now cancel x, children. Hindi na, isang multiplier lang pala naman yata to. Okay na, eh. Ano nang matitira, children? Pag pinactor out ko ang x, anong matitira sa denominator? Makakancel na yung x, makakancel x. So we have x plus sixth root of x to the fifth plus cube root of x squared. All over, factor out x, no? Kaya cancel na doon. So, square root of x minus 1. Yan. O, tingnan natin kung okay na. 0, 0, 0. So, 0 ang limit ng numerator. 0 minus 1. Kasi from the right, ha? Kaya okay ang square root. So, 0. 0 over negative 1 is 0. 0 mo? 0 lang pala ang limit. Pakahirap pa tayo, no? So, kung isipin nyo, 0 lang pala. Okay? Kung alam niyo lang. Question, guys. Okay, guys. Doon naman tayo sa mga may absolute value. Tapos na tayo sa may mga radical. Number ano tayo? Number 14. What if you're given limit as x approaches, let's say, 1 of x minus 1 absolute value over, pinaka-simple lang muna, ha? Anong limit ng x minus 1 all over x minus 1 as x approaches 1? Who wants to guess? If you can't guess it, you bench it. If you can't bench it, let us have what you call this? Pen shop it or Giordano para mas high-tech. Guys, let's say you are asked of the limit of this. What's the limit of this? As x approaches 1. Okay, guys. Ang limit muna, ito ay equal saan? Kasi 0 over 0 yan, di ba? Indeterminate. This is 0. This is 0. Okay? So, you cannot evaluate the limit as is. So, but when you divide, that is equal to 1. No? Ano ang limit ng 1? 1. Ganun lang. Number 15. Limit. As x approaches 2, let's say starting sa 0, of absolute value of x over x as x approaches 0 from the right. What do you think? Think so that you are. I think, therefore I am. You think, therefore you are. I think, therefore I am. Sino ba nagsabi niyan? Si Socrates, si Archimedes pa, or ano? I think, therefore I am. Anong sagot, children? From the right, how do we define absolute value, children? How do we define absolute value? It is x if x is what? Is positive or equal to 0. It is negative x if x is less than 0. Anong gagamitin mo? Yung positive x or negative x? Positive x over x. Ano ba yung x over x? 1, right? Remember, x is not equal to 0, ha? Approaching only 0 from the right. That's why we can cancel. We can cancel x, and that is equal to 1. What's now the limit, children? 1. Okay? What about if I have this limit as x approaches 0 from the left of absolute value of x over x? What about this, children? This is equal to limit as x approaches 0, so remember this is 0 over 0. So from the left, how can I simplify this? Absolute value. Guys, oy. So that is equal to negative x. Why negative x ang absolute value ng x? Because may x to the left ng 0, mga negative. So ang absolute value ng x is negative x if x is less than 0 over x. Ito, we can't do something about that. So it is equal to limit of what? Of negative 1 as x approaches 0 from the left. Finally, this is equal to negative 1. Is the limit from the right equals limit from the left? No. 1 before, negative 1 now. Therefore, what is our conclusion if you're asked of limit as x approaches 0 of absolute value of x over x? What conclusion? Does not exist. Okay? Does not exist. No equal, ha? Because the limit from the left, limit from the right, not equal. Although they both exist. So yan yung may jump. May jump dati natin pag ginraph. Okay, guys? Hindi yata okay. Ayun nila sumagot. It's not okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to not to be. It's okay to not to be okay. I saw that in YouTube. It's okay to not to be okay. 15, number 16 now. Let's have number 16. Limit as x approaches 1 of, yan, 3x squared minus 5x plus absolute value of x minus absolute value of 2 minus x. Okay? 2 minus x. And then, I do not want 2 minus x. X minus 3. Yan. I will first compute 3 minus 5, negative 2. Absolute value is positive 2. 1 minus 3, negative 2. Absolute value is positive 2. Okay. So that's the numerator. The denominator, I want to be absolute value of x minus 5, negative 4, minus 4, negative 4, positive 4, minus 4x. Let's see if you can work on limits involving absolute value. Let's check. 3 times 1, 3, minus 5 times 1, negative 2. 1 minus 3, negative 2, absolute value, 2. Negative 2 plus 2, 0. Denominator. 1 minus 5, negative 4, absolute value, 4. Minus 4 times 1, 4. 4 minus 4, 0. Indeterminate, guys. Okay? Yan. Hindi na tayo masyado sa mga walang problema, ha? Pag mga walang problema, yun yung mga giveaway na question. Ang aaralin natin yung mga problems. Okay? So, try to remove absolute value. Tanggalin natin ang absolute value para ma-cancel natin so that we will able to cancel the factor in the numerator and the factor in the denominator that make them 0. No? So, actually, yun yung x minus 1. So, limit as x approaches 1, ito retained, x squared minus 5x minus 5x plus, o ano ang absolute value ng x minus 3? Kapag ang x mo malapit sa 1 from the left, from the right. Di ba ang x minus 3 is negative? Eh di ba dapat ang absolute value always positive? Kaya ano ang absolute value ng x minus 3? 3 minus x. O, did you get that, children? Ano daw ang absolute value ng x minus 3? It is x minus 3 if your x is greater than or equal to 3. But if your x is less than 3, it is 3 minus x. Negate it. Yan, free of absolute value now. What about the denominator? 1 minus 5, it's negative. Therefore, what's the absolute value? 5 minus x. Para always positive. 5 minus 1, always positive. Minus 4x. You just copy that. Okay, guys? A question, guys? No question? Okay. Very good. No question. Then, pag nag-post na naman ng mga picture ng pinasolve, kung ano-anong pinaggagawa. Okay? You are submitting something that is, that has a problem. X approaches 1. So, again, this is, when simplified, 3x squared minus 4x, then plus 3. All over, this is, factor out ko na yung negative. Negative. Ito negative 5 eh. So, 5x na lang. Minus 5. No? Minus 5. Yan. Okay, guys? So, let us factor. Siya pa rin yan. Hindi pa tayo nagka-cancel. Kaya, still indeterminate yan. O, cancel now. The factor that makes the numerator 0 makes the denominator 0. Ito may factor na x minus 1. It has a factor x minus 1. This has also a factor of x minus 1. No? So, negative 5, may x minus 1 din siya. The other factor of the numerator, 3x, then minus what? Is it minus 3? Guys? Hindi. Anong other factor, guys? Is it minus 3?
Opo, sir.
Kasi mali yung aking subtraction. Hindi, mali yung subtraction ko. This is 6x. Kasi dapat mag-factor siya ng x minus 1 eh. Negative 5, negative 3, ay negative 5, negative x, yan. O, meron pa siyang common factor na 3. Yan. O. Ano na ngayon? Yan. Actually, 3, ano yan? 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. Kaya x minus 1 yan. The other factor. Okay na? Guys? O, cancel na natin. Cancel. O, I cannot get the limit. O, what is the limit of 3x minus 3? So, that is 3 minus 3. All over, eto negative 5. O, di 0. O, yan, 0. O, question, guys. O, no question, of course. Ayaw nyo magtanong, ha? Baka mamaya, puro questions. No more question, guys? Okay. Yan. 17. Ako, malapit na naman na magbigay ng activity. At least at yung December, I have I have much time to check. No? O, limit. As x approaches 0 of, let's see, x minus absolute value of 2x minus 1, absolute value of 2x minus 1, then plus 1 all over is square root of x plus 1 minus 1. O yan. Yan. So, 1, 0 plus 1, 1 minus 1. Okay. What about that, guys? Let's see. What's the limit of the denominator? The limit of this is 0 plus 1, 1. Because it's square root. What about limit of the numerator? 0. This is 0 minus 1. Absolute value is what? Anong absolute value? 1. Negative 1 plus 1, 0. Plus 0, 0. Is that correct, children? 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Absolute value, 1. Negative plus 1, so 0. Plus 0, so that is 0. So, indeterminate form. Since it is indeterminate, we cannot evaluate it at once, no? So, let's manipulate. Okay? This contains radical, but it is not getting to be negative, ha? Not getting negative through negative values. What about this, guys? So, how to remove absolute value? Again, this is x. 2x minus 1, 0 minus 1. So, it is going to be negative. Anong absolute value? Absolute value is 1 minus 2x. Kasi negative. Pag negative ang loob, negate. Pag positive ang loob, as is, yung absolute value niya, you just copy the inside. Plus 1 all over is square root of x plus 1 minus 1. Okay? Because there is a radical, you need to rationalize that, no? Para mag-cancel. Rationalize natin. Ang ating our multiplier, children of the Philippines, eventually will become children of China. Do you want to be children of China? Plus 1? Ayaw nyo? Malay nyo naman, mas guminhawa tayo. Equals. What about the numerator? And denominator. Ang numerator, what is the simplified form of the numerator? X plus 2x, 3x. Negative 1 plus 1, so 3x na lang, right? Times, yung conjugate na minultiply natin, no? Square root of x plus 1 plus 1. Combination ng kanina at saka radical. Ay, radical tsaka absolute value. A plus B, A minus B, A minus B, A plus B. What's the product? Square the first. Square the first. Plus, minus square of the second. The denominator is simply x. No? So, I can cancel that with the x here. Getting 3 times square root of times the sum of square root of x plus 1 and 1 all over simply 1, no? Kasi 1 minus 1, 0. So, x, cancel with x. So, wala na. We can now evaluate the limit. 3 times limit of this 0 plus 1, 1 plus limit of this is 1. And that is equal to 3. Times 2 equals what? 6, no? Yan. A question, guys. Do you have any question?
So, hindi po ba 2x?
Alam ba? Mali ba ako? Ano dapat ang sagot?
Kasi since nagtanggal kayo ng isang x sa baba, hindi sa taas rin po isa na sa matatanggal.
Kinancel ko lang yung x, children. X, kinancel ko. Kasi 1 minus 1, 0. Di x na lang natira. Cancel yung x. O ano na lang natira? 3 times this.
Okay, sir.
Okay na, guys? O, may question. Ito naman, this part, x plus 2x, 3x. Then, negative 1 plus 1, 0. Kaya 3x na lang to. 3x times this. O, times this. O, kaya yung natira na lang, 3 times this sum. Sa ilalim, x plus 0. So, x, cancel naman doon. Kaya, 1 na lang natira sa ilalim. Actually, wala na, no? Pero, numerator na lang susulat ninyo. Okay na, guys? Guys. Again, this is what? Ayan. This is 0. And this is cancelled with this. Ayan. Okay? O, guys. O, last one. Number 18. Number 18. This one. So we have limit. This time involving greatest integer. If you still remember the greatest integer, from the right. From the right. Greatest integer of, yeah, that's how we write it. There are many notations for greatest integer, no? And this is what we normally use. Yan. Now, so, your x is approaching 4 from the right. So, it means, what are those? 4.01, 4.001, 4.1, 4 point something. 4 point something minus 5 is equal to what, children? 4 point something, let's say 4.2, example, minus 5. That is equal to negative 0.8. Okay? But remember, the greatest integer of x minus 5 yan, is equal to negative what? It is negative 1 if your x is what? If your x minus 5, if your x minus 5, ayaw na sumulat. Pinahihinto na ako. Sabi, kumain ka na, sir. Square root o, if x minus 5 is between, is what? Is between negative 1 and 0. Okay? Guys? O di ba pag nag-assign ako rito ng x, yung mga 4 point something, tama ba, children? Oy, guys. Pag 4 point something ang sinubstitute nyo, ano yung 4 point something minus 5? Negative something. Is that correct? Pag negative something, negative, sa alibawa, negative 0 point something, 0.8, point ano, so that is negative what? Negative 1, right? So I can write that as limit of negative 1. I can write this as, it means it is fixed in this interval. Since we are interested to close to 4 from the right. Yan, limit as x approaches 4 from the right, and it is equal to negative 1, this quantity. And what is the limit of negative 1? Negative 1. Okay, guys? O, dito ko na lang sulat. What if you have limit as x approaches 4 from the left? of greatest integer of x minus 5, or from the left this time. So if you have from the left, what are you assigning, children? Negative, ang ina-assign naman natin, 3.9, 3.8, or something like that, 3.9 or 3.8 minus 5, so that is negative 1 point something. So the value of these children is what? Negative what? Negative 2. If your x is between negative 2 and if your x minus 5 is between negative 2 and 0, pag ang value raw nito ay between negative 2 and negative 2 and 1, negative 1, negative 2 and negative 1, the value of this is negative 2. Is that correct, guys? So this is equal to limit as x approaches 4 from the left of what? Negative 2. O ano ang sagot? What's the answer? Negative 2. O see the difference? So if you're asked, what's the limit of greatest integer of x minus 5 as x approaches 4? Does not exist. Okay, guys? Therefore, if you're asked of this, limit as x approaches 4 without direction, meaning both from the left and from the right, of the greatest integer of x minus 5, the answer is that the limit does not exist. So if you're solving for this problem, the solution is to solve for the limit from the left and limit from the right, and then compare before you can answer this. Okay? That's it, children of the Philippines, which later will become children of Europe. You want to be children of Europe? Do you still have questions, children? No more? Okay, guys. Bye. And next meeting will have more exciting limits. Okay, guys? Okay. Bye, children.